Hi, welcome to my fourth lecture on the French defense. The French defense starts out e4, e6, d4, d5, and we're currently covering the main line, knight to c3. In my last lecture on the main line, I covered the Rubinstein variation, which is where black captures here. But now, let's cover the main line where black plays bishop to b4, which is called the Winawer variation. And the Winawer normally continues. White advances the e-pawn, sort of basically locking up this center and taking away this e6 square from the knight. Black plays with c5, sort of like a normal idea in the French. White plays a3, sort of making the bishop decide if it wants to back off or take the knight, and then black takes the knight. White recaptures. Now black plays the knight to e7, obviously headed towards f5, where it can attack d4. Now white actually gets an attack going, and white plays queen to d4, now attacking this square here. So black castles. White plays bishop to d3. And like I said in my ideas, it's hitting this square where there's some attacking possibilities. Black plays knight on b to c6, hitting this d4 square again. And then white plays knight to f3. And this is sort of where I end this analysis, but what I want to show you is a sort of common attacking play by white. So let's just say black plays sort of nonchalant, okay, not the correct move. So let's just say, well, it's not the worst move, it's probably not the best move. Let's say plays bishop to d7, which we've sort of seen in other lines, looks somewhat natural, but then white has this nice little attacking trick. You have to watch this when you see this combination. If you're playing black, this setup for white with this bishop eyeing this square, this knight out, and this queen over here, because the attack is takes. And anything you do is not good for black. I think if you move over to h8, it actually I think it's like mate in 8 or something like that, or maybe it's taking the bishop. Whatever it is, it's you're going to lose a lot of material or be checkmated. So could continue. Most people probably take the bishop. Then the queen comes to h5, giving check. The king has to move back. Now the knight comes in, threatening checkmate on this square. Whoops, the rook moves over. Now the queen comes over here, giving check. King goes to h8. And things aren't looking very good for black. Okay, so that's just some demonstrations of what can happen. So let's back up and go on to our next variation. So I just covered we just covered this one. We just covered this one. So the Rubinstein, the Winawer, and now we're just going to go into the main line, or I should say the classical defense, which is knight to c6. Whoops, I have my computer turned on. Let me turn it off and back up that move. Okay, it's like computer malfunction, but I'm pretty sure this is where we left off with the French defense classical line. And then now basically black just moved its knight to f6. There's now two basic continuations for this, and the first one I'm going to show you, which looks like other variations we've seen. is where we push the pawn to e5. And now, like in some of the other lines, black just moves its knight to d7. And now white is going to support the e5 pawn by playing f4. Black's going to strike back at d4 by playing c5. Now the knight comes out to defend d4. Black's going to come out with the knight to c6, attacking the d4. And this is where I'm sort of going to end it, because it can go many different ways with bringing out different pieces. The most natural continuation recommended is d3, but actually white is actually able to capture this pawn, even though white's going to be able to attack it and probably recapture it. I may actually prefer playing my bishop to, which is possible here, getting rid of an attacker of the d4 square, even though I'm giving up this nice bishop. That's the problem with that, or I may consider moving this bishop here, defending d4 again before I move my bishop to d3, even though it's not the best move in the world. Okay, so that's how that line, one of the lines in the classical variation, could go. So let's back up. So basically, we had, I just reviewed e4, but the other possible line from here, after black plays its knight to f6, is playing bishop to g5. And now what's happening is that, basically white on the next move can advance its pawn, and then this knight would be pinned. So black has to do something about it. It has the option to take this pawn, but I sort of like that move because it gives a pawn structure which is more favorable to white. White will recapture with the knight, centralized knight, and I think white is personally just better off. It's more my opinion than anything else. So I like a move that continues to try to struggle for black to have some type of more central control. So I like the move, which is also playable. I'm just going to back up to bishop to e7, which is actually one of the definite alternatives. And the two main alternatives are take this pawn or bring the bishop out. I like bringing the bishop out. I think it's just more in line with opening theory. White's just going to push the pawn. Now the knight's going to go, move and go to d7. This is sort of some of the common type of themes and moves in all the variations. And now white's going to exchange off this bishop. If you think about it, white sort of got a deal out of this because that was black's sort of good bishop, or its best bishop, because this one bishop is still, locked in by its pawns. They're going to have a hard time getting out. So white just got rid of black's best bishop. And now the follow-up move, f4. Not to say white didn't need that bishop, but it's going to support the defending of e4, these black squares with this pawn. And this bishop here is actually the best bishop also for white. So basically what white did is got rid of one of black's best pieces. So the next move is f4, supporting e5. Black will play a6, keeping the knight out from moving to the square. And then white will just develop its knight. and then c5. So now black is going to strike at the center, or at the d4 pawn. So you can tell, probably black, some type of follow-up moves are going to be moving its knight to there. And then possibly black's going to castle and then push this pawn up. So, and white on the other hand is probably going to, move its bishop to d3, and castle. Okay, so that ends my lecture